Well, today's the day I finally talked about that SpongeBob episode. If you see my videos on To Love a Patty and Patchy the Pirate, then you probably know that there's been an episode that I meant to talk about a long time ago. An episode that is so vile and so controversial that it even affected the video game of said episode. I'm of course talking about the Season 5 special, Atlantis SquarePantis. Now, Atlantis SquarePantis isn't your ordinary bad episode, it's an advanced bad episode. Since not only is it a 22-minute special, but it also includes patchy segments that just lower the overall experience. However, I will be looking at the patchy segments in this video, since I already did so in my Patchy the Pirate video, so if you're curious about my thoughts on segments, then you can check out that video on my channel page. Anyway, with that being said, let's take a look at Atlantis SquarePantis. The episode starts with SpongeBob and Patrick blowing bubbles at Jellyfish Fields, but tried to take a picture of them. However, before they could, the bubbles pop. After Patrick gets upset, we get our first musical number of the episode. And yes, this special is a musical, and for the first musical number, the song is honestly pretty bad.
Like presents on Christmas Day, it doesn't seem to stay. Or a cheese souffle, it doesn't last all day.
The song just mostly talks about how things don't last forever, more specifically that bubbles always pop, and the lyrics and singing just feel so forced and tiresome, they have to wonder if it took them 5 minutes to write this garbage. Also, if you want a picture of a bubble, could you just search it up online? Like I found this image of a bubble thanks to a quick Google search, but I digress. Anyway, after the song number, SpongeBob blows a bubble so huge that it carries both him and Patrick into a cave, where they discover a piece of a medallion. Not knowing what it is, SpongeBob and Patrick decide to take it to the museum, where we conveniently see that Mr. Krabs, Squidward, and Sandy are already there. But don't worry, it's not like they were all written there just to get all the main characters in one place lazily, right? Anyway, they eventually find out that the piece of metal found is actually the other half of the Atlantis medallion.
Two boobs found the missing half of the Atlantean amulet?
I don't know why they keep calling it an amulet, since amulets usually refer to small charms and not huge ass medallions. We then spend the next few minutes learning about how the city of Atlantis went missing, and all the things the characters want to see. Which includes Krabs, who wants to collect some gold, Sandy, who wants to learn about science, Squidward, who wants to admire the arts, and SpongeBob and Patrick wanting to see the oldest living bubble. Anyway, they decide to put together the pieces of the medallion to try to find the key of entering Atlantis. Then all of a sudden, a bus comes crashing through the ceiling, with no one really noticing anything unusual, even though there was a police officer outside earlier. They then enter the bus, where we see some of the worst CGI I've ever seen. Like, I know they're trying to give the bus a futuristic look, but with the CGI mixed with the 2D characters, it just looks awkward in my opinion. A robot then comes out and says that they can't progress to Atlantis since the bus is out of fuel, so SpongeBob and the gang somehow push the van out of the museum, again without being noticed, to a nearby gas station. However, the bus doesn't have a place to put gas in, and then the robot says the bus doesn't run on gas, but rather, it runs on the power of song. Don't you think the robot could have mentioned that earlier? This leads us to our second musical number of the special, but instead of singing, it's more like sing talking, as the characters pretty much sing about what they want to see in Atlantis.
Nothing smarts is more important than being pretty. With all their advanced science and my painfully enlarged mind, I bet we can figure out how to make wondrous things, like melons with edible rinds.
Besides the song being horrible, it's also pointless since it was established in a museum, as well as the show itself, that Krabs likes money, Squidward likes art, Sandy likes science, and SpongeBob and Patrick like bubbles. The only thing the song did do was introduce Plankton into the plot, which leads to more questions, like how the hell did Plankton get to a glove box of a bus that magically appeared just a few minutes ago? The writers probably don't know themselves. Anyway, after the song, SpongeBob and the gang crashed down to the city of Atlantis. Wait, so Atlantis is just a 2-minute flight from Bikini Bottom? How did the city of Atlantis get lost in the first place? That's like me calling Greenland a lost civilization. So after arriving at Atlantis, SpongeBob decides to ring the bell to summon the king. Then all of a sudden, the king comes falling down the stairs to welcome SpongeBob and the others. Fun fact, the King of Atlantis is actually voiced by late English singer David Bowie. However, he doesn't have a song in this special. Which I just find sort of odd, since even a short song from Bowie would have been pretty cool. It would have been one of the few highlights in this special. Anyway, while everyone else is distracted, Plankton decides to make his escape from the bus by climbing out of the exhaust pipe. Okay, why would a bus that was established doesn't run on gasoline have an exhaust pipe when it doesn't have anything to release? So we get a better view of what Atlantis looks like, and it isn't really as impressive as I thought it would be. We then find out that Atlantis has a weapons room with some of the most advanced weaponry in the sea, but they don't really use it anymore since they want to maintain peace. I mean, if you want to maintain peace, then why not destroy the weapons in the first place? Plankton, seeing the weapons room is unguarded, decides to sneak inside and try to take over Atlantis, which will probably play a big role in a few minutes, but we must continue the tour. During the tour, Krabs starts to get bored, as he just wants to see the money. Shortly after, Krabs smells the scent of money, and finds the vault of Atlantis, that's full of gold and jewels. The king tells Krabs they can take as much as he likes, and this causes Krabs to break into another musical number. I'm not going to talk too much about the song, since it just talks about how much Krabs loves money, which is something that we already know. However, I did want to point out that they actually change art styles in the middle of the song, and while it doesn't really improve the scene or song that much, I still think it adds some variety to it in my opinion. Anyway, after Krabs gets done singing, the rest of the group is ready to move on. However, Krabs decides to stay behind, and like Scrooge McDuck, swims in a pile of gold. If you haven't guessed it by now, this special is basically a bad parody of Willy Wonka, as like Willy Wonka, each kid would get eliminated one by one, until one was left standing. However, unlike Willy Wonka, none of the SpongeBob characters get punished for their greed and desires, as they pretty much have the freedom to do what they want. I think the special would have been more interesting if there were more risk involved. Anyway, as we continue the tour, Sandy mentions that she wants to see the scientific studies of the Atlanteans, so the king takes everyone to their lab, which is about as advanced as the Discord moderator's bedroom. We then see what some of the inventions are capable of, as there's one machine that can turn any object into ice cream, which I wouldn't know what would be practical application for that, but okay I guess. Another invention we see is a machine that can fight off the sniffles. I have a question. Why would an advanced society make a machine to fight off a sickness that is easily curable? Anyway, SpongeBob and the rest of the gang get sucked into the machine, where they get trapped into an NES-like video game, and it's up to Sandy to save them from some generic Dr. Mario villains and a big snotty nose. We then get another musical number where Sandy talks about beating the germs. I will admit that the retro-style animation and gaming references are pretty cool. But besides that, the song isn't really that great since Sandy isn't a good singer, and the lyrics are just a bunch of bad science puns.
If I borrow some elements from the periodic table, I can mix up a brew that is sure to disable any virus, bug, or sniffle that steps into my path.
After the song, Sandy will eventually save SpongeBob and the rest of the gang from the germs. They will then continue on their tour while Sandy decides to stay in the lab. Anyway, guess what we haven't had in a while? That's right, another musical number. I mean, we just got done with the song not even 30 seconds ago. Can we at least wait for a few minutes? This time it's Plankton's song, and he sings about all the wonderful weapons of Atlantis, and which one he should choose to take it over. Just like Sandy's song, not only is Plankton also not a good singer, but the lyrics are also forced.
Look at this one, what a beautiful fuse! And with this one, I couldn't lose! That one would surely give them the blues! And this one here matches my shoes!
Plankton eventually chooses the tank and jumps inside. We then return to SpongeBob's tour, where Squidward wants to see some of the Atlanteans' art. The king will then ask everyone what art is, before painting a magical door leading to the art gallery. Squidward is amazed at all the art pieces, commenting that it looks like you jump into them, and it turns out you can, as Squidward enters the painting in Super Mario 64 style, which is actually a pretty cool reference. We then get a musical number involving Squidward, singing about his passion for art, and to be fair, this is probably the best song in the musical. I really like the different art styles that Squidward goes through, and think that it's a cool detail. As for the music itself, it's okay. Like, the singing isn't awful, and there is some clever lyrics.
To tell you about the schism between minimalism and cubism.
However, the instruments are a little bit tiring, and it sounds similar to a lullaby, so while it's not great by any means, it's at least watchable. Anyway, after Squidward's song, he decides to stick back to entertain and learn more from the Atlanteans, as we are now down to SpongeBob and Patrick. They then mention that they like to see the oldest living bubble. The king agrees to show them, but first he gives us backstory about the bubble. Apparently, the bubble is over 1 million years old. It was carried billions of light years through multiple galaxies, and is seen as a national treasure, which is probably the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The king will then leave SpongeBob and Patrick along with their most sacred treasure with no guards or anyone watching over them. Geez, I wonder what could possibly go wrong. After a few unfunny gags of SpongeBob and Patrick almost popping the bubble, they finally decide to take a picture with it, where it unsurprisingly pops, as they start to freak out. Now, to be fair, I think the king is equally responsible for leaving her with the bubble unguarded in the first place. Speaking of which, we see the king return to the dining room as we catch up on how everyone else's day went. Mr. Krabs managed to get a lot of riches, while Sandy and Squidward made some improvements on their works. SpongeBob and Patrick will then enter, as they are extremely nervous and tell the group that they should leave immediately. Everyone is confused as to why they would want to leave. Patrick will then break under pressure and admit that he and SpongeBob popped a bubble. The king would laugh about it and say that it was only a replica, before showing the real bubble. Patrick will then take a picture of the bubble and pop it. What was the point of the first bubble being a replica, if they would just go pop a real bubble anyway? The king will then get mad and order the royal guards to capture the gang. They then start running as we enter the climax. SpongeBob and the gang will then fight off the royal guards, and when I say fight off, I mean Sandy will use them as weapons. I mean, could they at least have the other characters fight? SpongeBob also knows karate, and Patrick held his own, not to mention that Mr. Krabs used to be a very respected Marine, and seeing them in action would have been cool, but it's whatever. Anyway, during the middle of the standoff, Plankton will arrive with his tank aimed at everyone. Plankton then tells everyone that he's about to become the new king of Atlantis, then presses the button to fire. However, the tank actually shoots out ice cream, and SpongeBob and Patrick begin eating it. You know, that twist actually would have been clever and funny, since it was foreshadowed earlier. But since the commercials for the special gave away the twist, it doesn't really connect as well. I mean, why would you give away the climax of the special, but not say that it's a musical? Anyway, Plankton will then get mad and take his anger out on the tank. He then gets captured by the king, who says that he'll be a great replacement for the bubble. Well, for all that your people risked their life for, and protected for over 1 million years, you should get over it pretty easily, don't you? After Plankton gets put on display, the king will say goodbye to SpongeBob and gang, as they prepare to go home. He then tells the guard to throw away the medallion, so they never have to experience people like them again, which is probably where the script should have gone. We then get one final song, as SpongeBob and Patrick sing about how Atlantis was great, but it's time to go home to Bikini Bottom, while the rest of the gang wants to stay at Atlantis. This song is very similar to the second one, but I would say that this one is more annoying since everyone's crying in the middle of it.
Atlantis, we're Bikini Bottom.
We then see the bus fly off into the night sky, and that's the end of Atlantis SquarePantis. Now, to be honest, the special wasn't as bad as the last time I watched it. I think the use of different art styles was a unique concept, and there were a few moments where the special made me chuckle here and there.
There's no place like
Atlantis!
However, most of the special had a lot of plot holes and seemed useless. Like, what was the point of Plankton being in this episode, since he could have easily done this special without him? Also, why did they decide to do a musical? I mean, I know SpongeBob has had memorable song numbers, but most of those are performed by other artists, and most of the actors don't really have a singing background in the first place. I think this special did have potential to be great, with SpongeBob and his friends exploring a lost civilization, but with all the musical numbers and repeated information, the special sort of became a half-baked plot with a lot of filler and SpongeBob and the gang dicking around. Anyway, that's pretty much all I have to say about this special. Let me know in the comments what you thought about it, and what you would like to see me review next. With all that being said, Koopa out.